What's good, y'all, and welcome to another vid. So, today's topic is why you should still summon for Wukong even if you already have him A5, or I guess a bit of a Wukong glazing in general. But overall, why should you still go for a Wukong if he's obviously already maxed out and a copy you are getting for him is pretty much wasted potential? The reason for that is this sweet thing right here, and that is the concept of a reset book. There have been a couple given out in the past, and there might even be new ways to get those in the future. So every Wukong you have now, even if you don't have a reset book, is something you can trade for a soulstone in the future as long as a reset book becomes available. So basically you now have the opportunity to summon yourself a soulstone with just 200 summons. The only time you don't want to use this is when your Wukong is already A5 with 6 natural copies, which shouldn't be the case for, I don't know, 99% of you, 99.9% of you, because during Christmas, who the hell summoned A5 Wukong anyway? So yeah, that's the thing. Even like Wukong is that good, and the concept of being able to summon yourself a soulstone is so important that you should still consider getting a Wukong. Like, the only time you don't want to consider it, I guess, is if you cannot afford the 200 summons, or if you're specifically looking at something else for said 200 summons. Like, for example, the anniversary, which is going to be in around 6 weeks. We'll have the anniversary in around 6 weeks, probably. We'll also have the introduction of Tactical Mastery at that point. The devs are hinting towards the anniversary being something big with a couple changes, with a couple things to happen. And then obviously another candidate would be Nerissa. You might have seen a bit about her already, be it from me or someone else. Overall, Nerissa being a esotericist, she has the same Thirsty-like ability. And once again, for those of you asking if you were able to stack the, the reduced AoE damage taken with Thirsty's reduced AoE damage taken, no. Those are the same thing, and only the stronger one is going to stay. So Nerissa's with 20% or even at A1 with 30% is going to override or compete with Thirsty. So no need to try to go for any super specific double AoE damage reduction comps. That just doesn't exist. Yeah, then other heroes, obviously Ancients are pretty much out of the way. Why would you need to talk about Ancients when you're looking at Wukong? Overall, this guy will have a more specific look on him, obviously before his banner. We did read his kit. There were a couple tests already, but I really want to show you what he can do. And yeah, back to the normal stuff. So then other candidates competing with your summons will have to be Yuri. I mean, we talked about Yuri quite a lot. Overall, Yuri, the reason why she's so dominant is not only is she one of only 2 Nightmare platform units, but it is mainly this huge range. Overall, she can be somewhat useful in most content, but the real part where you're going to want to need her is if you want to make a higher push in anti-air arena, because there's nothing that can compete with this disgusting range right here. So that's kind of the reason why Yuri would be valuable, viable. And then for Phineas, if you want to get him, you really do have to make sure you also get the Mask of Dark Desire, and then preferably you also get his A1. And the reason for that is because here you're increasing the base chance of Blade of Treachery, which means you'll have a 30% rather than a 25, or a 60 rather than a 50% chance during Ultimate, and that is very important for you to get this damage reduction right here, because the Blade of Treachery is the one that actually inflicts the damage reduction. So Phineas is one of those units you can place on the ground. They do really good shield damage in magic form, and for Abyss specifically, or even for Gear Dungeon 2, you really want around like a 100% uptime of the damage reduction buff. And if you don't have your Phineas A1, you're probably gonna struggle with that, and there might be a scenario where you get hit once your buff isn't active. And yeah, that's already the gist of the normal units. Overall, is Wukong going to stay relevant enough for you to make it worthwhile to have him, even if it's just to get another soulstone? I mean, the answer is obviously yes, right? For those of you that also don't have any Wukong awakenings, how much further should you go? I mean, if it's the difference between A0 and A1, obviously nothing really changes, though keep in mind this prevents one death. One fatal death does help massively in Abyss, allowing you to potentially get away with a weaker tank, get away with less HP, make a further push into a certain shield phase. So it is a good quality of life, with the A2 obviously just giving you extra attack, and then the A3 is where you now have the ability to extra stun or solo stun Guild Boss 2, as well as also giving Wukong a great increase in damage, not just through the damage his clones deal, but also through this Thunder, where he can stack those up to 5 times. That is really, really powerful. And then obviously the A5 is by far one of the most broken awakenings in the entire game, where you double the damage instances and the ultimate, and you 5x the stacking cap of Undaunted Might, as well as also after using the ultimate you have a higher chance of triggering your stun attack with the extra damage by exactly 35%. So you're going from a Golden Cudgel Strike 25 to a Golden Cudgel Strike 60%. Wukong honestly is ridiculous enough that all of you have to get him as a must pull, and even as we talked about it, even as a A5, Wukong still has enough value because you can trade it 1-for-1 for a Soulstone. And then obviously you can also go one step further and try for a second Wukong, maybe even a third Wukong, so that you, if you reset him, you can get back up to 3, 4, 5, however many Soulstones you've invested into him with the use of a single reset book. Then again, if you don't have a reset book, you will have to hope that in the future there might be a pack, there might be an event, there might be something the like where you can get your hands on a reset book. Though keep in mind they have been pretty sparse in the past. Overall, Wukong, I mean, he is second strongest unit in the game, strongest unit in the game depending on the content, right? The longer the content, the stronger Kigiri, the shorter the content, the stronger Wukong. Overall, Wukong, yeah, if it's between Wukong and Kigiri, it is really hard to pick who's the strongest. I would like to see them both as like the double emperors, the double kings of war. It is really hard to pick who of them would be considered the very best. So yeah, as always, we see each other in the next one, and peace!